the last time here was in November, and a lot has happened from November until now. We are now in March. A lot of things have been coming across in the news. A lot of people have been speaking up.
I think X is about to
Yeah,
play.
X, go ahead and throw that clip up for us.
This is audio of Lil Woody.
I can even tell y'all what I have done. I never have. I shot 2 people.
Well, that's okay. Let me.
No, I know this. I'm just saying. Those are 2 of my friends. Yeah. I ain't did nothing to nobody. Nobody did it. None of that. Peace and outside.
Well, okay, so before we came back, or while we were on break, George Chidi said he actually listened to that entire audio, that 3.5 hour audio.
Podcast, huh?
Yeah.
So speak to us about it.
Very sad podcast.
Yeah, well, because the listeners have no clue what they just heard.
Okay,
So
yeah.
let me put it in context then. Again, this is Kenneth Copeland. His street name's Lil Woody. He's a YSL guy. And he was arrested in October of 2021, actually, on weapons charges. And he's talking with police investigators about Young Thug and the YSL feud with YFN. And Copeland is a guy who has a reputation, both like on the street and among the police, as somebody who gets shot at a lot, and apparently, like as he's talking about, shooting people every once in a while or shooting at them. Copeland is dangerous, like no question. Like he's not. He may be the most dangerous of them all. Like possible exception being Shannon Stillwell. A lot of people are remarking on how he was, snitching. And I hate talking about things like that because I'm not, that is a conversation that is important to people who are on the street in the life and should be completely irrelevant to everyone else. But it's clear this is a guy who he spent 5 years in a federal jail, a prison cell. Like he's only been out for about 1.5 years at this point. He's looking at another 5 years minimum, possibly 10, and he's trying to find a way to get out of that any way he can. And the police who are talking with him have known him for a long time, and they've had conversations like this with him previously, multiple times. And they know him well enough to know the names of his children and are talking about you want to, you basically, do you want to see your children again? Like, how do we get to this? But they're not telling him to snitch. Like, they're not trying to elicit information from him.
He
is
spurring him out.
dumping everything that he thinks he can in this moment to get out of this. And because he was looking, and you could see it, how utterly nervous and how wrought he is in this moment. His leg won't stop twitching. His head, he checked his pulse at one point.
I saw that.
Like his head on the desk, like his body language, and everything that he's talking about in this sort of rapid fire is like, look, what can I tell you? What can I tell you?
What you need to know.
There's going to be a murder. I know where this murder is going to take place. Like, I can tell you whatever you need to know. Like, here's all this stuff about Young Thug. Like, just get me out of this.
So here's a question, though. If this is going on, you've been in certain places. Like, I'm not a street dude. I never claimed to be a street dude, whatever. But I've watched enough shows to know that you need a lawyer present if they're gonna sit there and if they're gonna say, or they're gonna interrogate you. Every show I've ever watched has said, I need a lawyer present. Is it what would compel a person like this
nerves
to not say, hey, I need a lawyer before I speak to you?
It's too late now.
So he got at it a little bit. Like, so the first thing that the investigator did was read him his rights, tell him you could get a lawyer, and we could call your lawyer. And Woody's like, no, I don't want to do that. And later on in the conversation, he says effectively that he didn't really trust his lawyer, and that he did because he knew what he was going to be talking about.
He doesn't pay his lawyer.
He says the cops say that he had money for a lawyer, but Woody is complaining through this whole time that he's basically no longer on the YSL payroll, that he's not getting money from Young Thug, and he seems really bitter about it because he's getting shot at a lot, but nobody is giving him financial compensation for it. And so he's like, I can't bring my lawyer into the jail because everybody will know that I'm talking and there's no way to meet privately enough.
Right.
Because he believed, with some reason I might add, that sheriff's deputies would be watching him and that some of them were on someone's payroll and would tell who he was meeting with.
Well, let's talk about that too. I want to talk about like when it comes to the police department and the DA's office, like what actually is going on. Because like you said, the jails and the prisons, I mean not the prisons, but the jails and stuff like that are crazy. They're still going to war. Right now as we talk, it's still, you know what I'm saying, it's still back and forth, and there has to be someone complicit in that.
So I think that's an easier case to make now that a sheriff's deputy has been arrested on a corruption charge for facilitating the stabbing of an inmate. Like the guy is accused, like the sheriff's deputy is accused of popping one of the doors so that other inmates could go and shank this guy. And that guy survived a shanking 30 times. And I've spoken with him, as have other members of the media. That jail is among the most dangerous jails in the United States.
And which jail are we talking about?
We're talking about the Fulton County Jail, Rice
Street?
Rice Street.
15 people died at Rice Street last year. And some of them in squalor, in the sorts of ways that should put people in the street.
Yeah.
Shannon Stillwell, everybody knows that, like, you know, Lucci, somebody tried to stab Lucci last year. Shannon Stillwell, who was one of the defendants, was stabbed in jail in, I think it was August of last year. And it looks like the person who stabbed him said, at least in the documents that I've read, that he did it because Stillwell shot up one of his relatives' houses while Stillwell was out and this other guy was in.
And just for clarity, Shannon is YSL. This other guy is YFN. And so they have beef and they have issues that have been years going on. So Lucci, who is a rapper, is in jail, does not like Thug, who is a rapper. And so because of those two, there's issues.
Right. Like they're the leaders essentially of these two Bloods factions, YSL and YFN.
Got you.
And like Lil Rod and two other guys like attacked somebody apparently with a knife in jail like a month ago.
And who are they a part of? They're a part of
Lil Rod is a YSL guy.
Okay.
The war is continuing in the jail as we speak, which is part of the reason why the YSL case or the YFN case has been delayed. Lucci's trial has been delayed.
He's been in there for how long?
Almost 2 years.
Yeah.
Okay.
And it's going to be delayed another year, it looks like, while they do the YSL case. But he's not the only one who's been delayed. And it's something so I've just written a story for Rolling Stone that gets at this. Hundreds of trials all across Metro Atlanta and beyond are not happening right now because of the YSL trial.
That's power.